What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. Obviously, NASCAR is done for the year. Congratulations to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chase Elliott, a guy that we backed a ton during the restart. Hopefully, we'll get back to that, say, February. But, Brian, we have a lot to get into. We have Masters golf, which if you checked out the preview, with me and Bobby Adcock, we had a ton of fun. That is still up. You can still find potentially some value numbers on some guys that we were really excited about. But we are talking about one thing and one thing only. It is Week 10. It is NFL time. Brian, we are recording this prior to my Tennessee Titans taking the field versus the Indianapolis Colts. We kind of mentioned before that we expect the Titans to win and to cover. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to watch that play out. But how are you? And are you ready for another round of amazing, entertaining, fun football?
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for Week 10 as we get closer and closer to fantasy football playoffs. You know, the maneuvering in fantasy is getting more like dire, and then in terms of betting, like I think these are the weeks where you can start to make the most money because you've got a good idea of who the teams are, when they are entering particular matchups and such. And that's one of the reasons why you're leading off with saying we like Tennessee at home on a Thursday night in a spot where traditionally the visiting teams suck. So I think that's kind of where we are in terms of this season, weird COVID year, and I'm ready to dive in.
And we'll dive into Week 10. Well, we got to, obviously, as we always do, 3 games we run through. We do our best of the rest. We'll do our college football minute that may or may not be a minute long. But before we dive into any of that, let's talk Week 9 recaps and kind of go over an interesting weekend, I guess. I am as 500 as it could be, 28, 28, and 2. 2-6 to my best bet. So my best bet is my worst bet, and you should be fading me. And then going with Brian, who is 6-2 on his best bets.
Only because we didn't give our best bets last week because we were idiots.
Right. Yes, because we're idiots, and we were like, okay, but before we jump into our best bet, we did talk about our card though. Mixed bag for me. The Ravens was one of my favorites, but probably was my best bet. They ended up covering. It was a little grosser of a game than I expected. We both love New Orleans. I was an idiot and didn't bet them because that number moved so much and it scared me off. But we both love New Orleans and they covered with ease. My Panthers covered with ease. Washington shot themselves in the foot. Kyle Allen lost his foot. Alex Smith threw to linebackers over and over again and almost covered. The Steelers first half, the more the week went along, the more I got scared. And if you checked it out Sunday morning, that game went exactly to the script that I played out. You said bet the Cowboys in the first half. I said bet the Steelers live. Brian, what did we do in the middle of that game? I think we both did the same thing. What do we do?
Oh man, we went extremely heavy on Steelers. Like,
yeah,
I got Steelers, I think -2.5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you make money, man. You watch the game, you look at the trends, you see the way that they're going, and you're going to bet the better team.
Yep. And it was ugly. It was gross, but they covered by 3, and we appreciated that. For you, lots of L's there in your college, but you know what, your Boise State and BYU total, which started the week, was winner. And your New Orleans -4.5 or +4.5 was a winner. So you bookended all your garbage with 2 wins. So that's, got a nice taste to start the week. Got out of there not wanting to, shoot yourself in the foot. So, can't complain too much. You've been riding hot. I'm sure we'll get back on track this week. As I mentioned, we got 3 games we want to jump into. Let's start with Las Vegas versus the Denver Broncos. I think a game that is going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think. Obviously, living out here on the West Coast, I tend to get a lot of Raiders. Obviously, I don't get as many now that they're a Vegas team instead of an Oakland team. But where is that line? Okay, so we're sitting at Raiders -4, -4.5. Where's your head at with this one?
So this game, I've been a big fan. We talked about this last week too when we were talking about the Broncos. How I picked them money line in Atlanta, and in that game in the fourth quarter when Denver was down by 21, I thought they had the Falcons just where they wanted them, and they were going to make a comeback. And we saw them get within a touchdown and have a chance to get the ball back late in that game. But that being said, this game I'm leaning the side total. I like this game to hit the over and hit the over pretty convincingly. The over-under right now is sitting right around 50, and Denver, in 4 of their last 5 games, the total has gone over 59. In the Raiders, minus their one horrible weather game in Cleveland, their games are averaging 64 points a game. So for this total to be set so low, I don't know if Vegas knows something that we don't, but Denver's defense has not been playing well, and the Raiders' offense has been playing pretty damn good, meaning that Denver's going to be playing from behind, leading into the Drew Lock that we've seen the past couple of weeks, who, yes, he's making mistakes, but Jerry Jeudy's running all over the place. Noah Fant is healthy. He's getting lots of points, and the Raiders are still going to take those big shots. So for me, I like the total in this more so than the line, as this being a divisional game. I think it could be closer than what the experts think.
Yeah. So for me, I'm all over Vegas in this one. I think the Raiders are just a better team, and we saw that last week. Who'd they beat last week? Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think they're going to do it again in division. An interesting note on that over, Brian. Since Drew Lock returned to week 6, they played 16 quarters. 14 of them, Denver has scored a total of 50 points, which is 3.5 points per quarter. In the past 2 fourth quarters, they've scored 42 points, 21 points per quarter.
So basically what we want is the Raiders to be leading big.
Correct.
And then boom, 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 boom. Yes, lots of points late in the game.
I would be a little nervous about it. And honestly, maybe it's something where you look to bet it live. You go, maybe the Raiders are up 21-3 at the half. You can look at the total. It's sitting at like a crisp 44-45. You take the over at that point, wait for the Broncos to do their thing in the fourth quarter and smash the over and get a better number. That would be my suggestion, because currently at 50, I don't love it. And actually, in kind of where my head goes next is, okay, I bet the under on the full game, and then I bet it live over, and I try and get a middle and see if I can't take advantage of both sides. But I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Obviously, a ton of fantasy relevant options. Interested to see. I might look at some touchdown props, maybe a Jerry Jeudy, maybe a Tim Patrick, maybe Henry Ruggs. Could have some fun there. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing, and let's head to the desert and talk about those Arizona Cardinals, which I told you Miami was the side in that game. And I thought they're coming to the desert. I know it's going to be weird, but I'm always dubious of teams that are coming in riding high against a team that's seemingly a lot, there's just a lot of, you could kind of piece together, make the narrative in your head. Now we flip the script. Buffalo welcomed Seattle and beat them solidly at home. Seattle Seahawks, arguably one of the 2 or 3 best teams in all the NFL, at least on offense. Their defense has question marks, but they've done what they needed to do to get wins. Arizona still remains at home, coming off that ugly loss to Miami. Should we be going to the Cardinals in this spot?
Dude, honestly, I think that Buffalo is the more well-rounded team, even with their deficiencies on defense right now. I know Tre'Davious White is practicing back fully, so he seemed to have kind of gotten rid of that injury bug that's been plaguing him the past few weeks. And Arizona, like you said, credit to Miami, dude. I liked them coming into the year as one of the best up-and-coming teams with all their talent and the way Brian Flores is coaching. But Tua Tagovailoa adds a different dynamic to the offense with his escapability in the pocket and his lack of gunslinging mentality made, with him not forcing balls into windows that are tighter than where the ball can actually fit, which is what Fitzpatrick likes to do. Now, Arizona, their defense was coming in riding pretty high, being able to get pressure on the quarterback and limit teams' abilities from moving the ball to a certain degree. And Miami was able to kind of exploit that. And I think that Buffalo's offense right now is just on a different level, especially than a Miami team that they just got beaten by. And with the Bills' ability to run the ball with both Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, I really like the Bills in this spot on the road in the desert to maybe upset the Cardinals and Arizona lose their second consecutive game.
I like Arizona a lot, especially if you can get it under 3. I think if it's 3 or more, I'm probably just going to avoid it. I like Buffalo a lot. I like what Josh Allen's doing, and obviously for my MVP bet, want him to keep rolling and playing really, really well. I worry about this spot. I worry about coming in off that high, traveling to the desert, the Arizona figures it out under 3 points. If a week ago we had made this line, I think it's Arizona -3.5, maybe -4. So getting that extra point and a half, I think it is worthwhile for me. And it's going to make my card. I just wrote it down.
I will probably be leaning the over in this matchup as well. Yeah. It's currently set at 56.5, and both of these teams are averaging, right around 28, 29 points a game this year. And those are those are also in games where they were winning handily. So this is a game where both offenses are probably going to be able to move the ball pretty efficiently, and they're going to be going up and down the field. So I do think that this game creeps into the 60s, and if you can get it right now before it starts to go up to the 58.5, 59 number, I think that's a good bet right now.
Yeah, if you can get it around 57, I would want to monitor the practice reports and see who's playing on both sides for their defense, because that will make a big difference. Let's shift our focus. Let's talk about those Miami Dolphins, who are taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, returning high on a big win. We got Tua, we got Justin Herbert, we got potential rookies battling for supremacy. The Chargers, I thought they did it last week. They threw a touchdown at the end. Turns out
they're the Chargers.
They've been doing this over and over. Eventually, they have to get one of these wins, right?
I mean, you would think that with how much talent they have on the offensive side of the ball, with last week the issue was whether or not Keenan Allen was going to play. He wound up playing. He just had some sort of sore throat going on, and they still look like they're Keenan Allen bowl. Justin Herbert looks like the steal of the draft, even at the 6th pick in the draft. Like he's looking like potentially the best quarterback in this class right now. But their defense has just zero ability to stop teams when they need it. And the Chargers just seemingly have every way in the book patented on how to lose games. And when you look on the other side of the ball, this Miami Dolphins team, they're winning these close games. They're winning these games that they're probably not supposed to win, like last week against Arizona, like a couple weeks ago against the Rams. And this is another spot for them. But like you said, eventually it's going to turn around in the favor of the Chargers. And I do think that the Chargers are able to withstand the Tua wave here down there in SoCal. And I think the Chargers do walk away with a win. And this is another game that I like this to be a sneaky over, with the Chargers continuously just, lighting up the scoreboard, even against the Dolphins defense that has shown to be pretty good.
Yeah. I think this is another spot game. I think the Chargers finally get their win. I think this is I think I would just take the Chargers money line, have them hit it, and call it a day. I think their defense should be good. I think Joey Bosa is expected to play in this game, which is a big get back. And I think the Dolphins are definitely trending in the right direction, but I don't think they get this one. Let's run through a couple more. There's a bunch of interesting games. Tampa, Carolina, I think, is one we both wanted to talk about. The Panthers return home after covering against the Chiefs. Now they welcome Tom Brady and company, who just got destroyed on Sunday Night Football.
And we know they're going to be pissed.
And and you can get it at Tampa Bay -6, -5.5 if you find the right books. Where's your head at for this one?
Man, this one's really hard because we did come into this game. We were talking on Monday about the waiver wire show about Curtis Samuel being one of our favorite waiver ads, as he's totally underowned right now, seeing multiple targets, rushing attempts, all that stuff. With Carolina's offense, the way that they run that is very similar to the way New Orleans likes to run those quick passing, which we saw Tampa Bay have a lot of issues with and trying to discuss or, figure out. And today with the news breaking that Carlton Davis, Tampa Bay's standout cornerback, missed practice with a knee issue. That is an injury to monitor here, because if he's unable to go, you're looking at Tampa Bay going with their nickel corner starting on the outside against either Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore, with then having Curtis Samuel go against some bum out there. And with Carolina's ability to get the ball out quick and limit the pressure put on Teddy Bridgewater, if they can keep this game close early, I think this is a surprising spot where Tampa Bay might be upset again. But that said, I can't pick against Tom Brady coming off of such an embarrassing loss. And I do think this is a spot where Tom Brady throws the ball for over 350. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. You're going to see AB, Chris Godwin, and Gronk all dancing in the end zone with Mike Evans crying on the sideline for targets still. But yeah, I like Tampa in this spot. It is a game that I'm going to monitor in the live betting just to see where it is early on. But I like Tampa to cover the spread.
Yeah, I like Tampa a lot. I think Ronald Jones has a big game here. I think they run all over Carolina. Carolina allowing the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. I think Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette have a field day. I think that helps open up the passing game. I think that helps the defense play better. And I think Tampa Bay rolls here. I think they cover the touchdown plus. The game that interests me a lot is the one that is New Orleans hosting the 49ers. New Orleans is a 9.5 or 10-point favorite, depending on where you look. Obviously, getting Michael Thomas back seems to make a world of difference from them. But Nick Mullins and company are rolling into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and they're barely double-digit underdogs. That screams, hey, Joe Public, come bet New Orleans and watch the Niners cover. I'm taking the Niners, Niners plus 9.5. That does not make sense. If you can get the 10, and I think you might even be able to get a better number than that by Sunday. But as of recording, 9.5 is pretty much the standard across the board. And a number I will be taking, even with Nick Mullins, even without Jimmy G, even without George Kittle. I think they can do enough. Muddy this game up. I think their defense is actually okay. Obviously their offense is down star power, but on the defensive side of the ball, they're not that bad. And I think it's an ugly, gross game. I think they lose by between 3 and 6 or 7 points and cover the 9.5 with ease.
And I'm on the complete other side of the spectrum with this game. I think this is another one of those New Orleans Saints at home. Even without fans, they're just able to kind of control this game from the start, create a lot of pressure on Nick Mullins. Debo is unlikely to play again, so you're going to see Brandon Ayuk, and I don't know who else on the outside.
Kendrick Bourne isn't playing, I don't think.
There's going to be Ross Dwelley, Jordan
Reed, and JaMychal Hasty. I don't know.
I do think this is a get right spot for Michael Thomas, as well as last week was his first game back. I do think you see Michael Thomas kind of get back to that 7 to 8 reception level here. So if he's on your fantasy team, you're going to be happy with the results this week. But I'm going to take the Saints laying the 9.5 right now. Once it gets into that 10 range, that's a lot more tricky, but I'd probably still lay the 10, just hoping for at least a push. But I'm going to take the Saints at 9.5.
Which home team do you trust more? New England at home getting 7 points against Baltimore, or the Bears at home getting 2.5, 3 against Minnesota?
Probably the Bears, just because we've seen Kirk Cousins have really bad games. If they're unable to run the ball, and if Chicago forces this game to be on Kirk Cousins' arm, I think Chicago has a better chance of covering than watching New England, who's probably going to be without Stephon Gilmore again, try to defend against Baltimore's ridiculous running game and Lamar Jackson running all over the field, and the guy who I said you could potentially drop, Marquise Brown, taking the top off the defense. So I trust Chicago more in this spot.
Yeah, Chicago is very interesting to me. The last 2 games with Dalvin Cook, the Vikings look like a playoff team again, which is very strange. Dalvin Cook's look great. The defense has figured stuff out. But yeah, I think I don't trust the Bears. Like they're just, but they do enough to make this game gross. And I could even see this game being like 21-20 Vikings, and the Bears somehow cover the 2.5.
Now, real quick though, I did see David Montgomery's in concussion protocol currently. So if he misses, it's going to be Cordell Patterson playing running back.
I don't know that that's much different than what we saw last week.
Hey, that's messed up. And also, Allen Robinson popped up on the injury report today with a knee issue. So, I mean, that's definitely something to monitor, because if they're without their superstar wide receiver, I think I would probably avoid the Bears at home.
Yeah, and I really want to be excited about Darnell Mooney, who's looked great, but Nick Foles is bad. He's just not.
He looks horrible.
He's just not good. I don't understand. To be honest, from a pure spots perspective, I think both these home teams are incredibly interesting. I like taking the home dog in prime time, and I feel like New England has the widest ranges of outcomes, where it's either New England can keep it close and be a field goal game either way, because we haven't really, even as good as Baltimore looked last week, and they played like garbage for 4 quarters, and the Marlon Humphrey interception, I don't know how that got called a pick. As someone who backed Baltimore, I was very happy to have it happen. But he didn't catch the ball. He bounced out of his hands and fell and hit, and all of a sudden it's interception going the other way. I don't know. New England, I can't trust them. They just went a really ugly game against the Jets. So I think New England is the pick here. I know it's gross. I know you don't want to do it, but I'm going to take the Patriots plus that full 7.
I really don't doubt why people would do that. Just knowing the way Belichick is able to coach games up and take away the strengths of the opposing team, especially going up against Lamar Jackson. Belichick's going to be he's going to devise a plan to keep him in the pocket as much as possible and force him to beat them with his arm, which is what we saw Tennessee do last year.
Yeah. So Big Ben's in COVID protocol. There's a 7, 6.5, 7, 7.5, depending where you look. Have to see how that plays out. Baker's also potentially
I think he got
cleared
taken off of it. Yeah.
Okay, because it's 3.5. I was thinking they were saying that the difference with him and Keenum isn't that much different. And to be honest, it might not be.
It might not be.
And Nick Chubb is he officially back this week?
So I don't think they've actually activated him off IR, but he's practicing in full with no knee brace also.
Okay. So I love Cleveland here with Nick Chubb back. I think they run all over Houston and win very, very comfortably. The game that I want to talk about, though, that I think is incredibly interesting, the Rams are at home hosting the Seahawks after that blowout loss, and the Rams are the favorite. What am I missing?
Dude, we talked about how weird 2020 was going to be, and this is a game where the Seattle Seahawks, who were the favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl just 2 weeks ago, who are now coming off an obliterating loss to the Buffalo Bills. They're a dog on the road to an LA team who is coming off of, a couple of porous performances, losing to Miami. Cooper Kupp is kind of banged up. And to see the Rams as the favorite, I think is just speaking to how bad Seattle's defense is and how good they were expecting the Rams defense to play against this Seahawks offense. Now, for me, I'm going to trust Russell Wilson in this game, and I'm going to be on the side of the Seahawks still, especially playing down there in LA. I cannot for the life of me trust Jared Goff. As highly I think of him this week in terms of fantasy and in real football world, I just don't see him winning a game where it's a shootout against a Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it'll be a fun game. I think it'll be good for fantasy production, but I can't trust Jared Goff.
No.
Any other games you want to talk about before we hit our college football minute, which may or may not be a minute long?
I think you hit on. I think one of my favorite spots this week is the Browns, like you said, at home, laying the 3.5. And this has nothing to do with the quarterbacks of either of the teams, but this has everything to do with the return of Nick Chubb, something we've hit on before. And this Browns running offense has kind of hit the skids over the last couple of weeks, minus Chubb. And with Chubb coming back, this just adds a different element to that running game, which will then open it up for Kareem Hunt, who was averaging over like 6 yards a carry with Chubb on the, active. And since Chubb was gone, he's averaging less than 4. So I think this just kind of spreads out the wealth of the Browns offense. And they're expecting extremely high winds in the mid to upper 20 mile per hour range in this game with some rain. So this could be another Raiders-Browns game. And a team with a better running game, and the fact that Houston's probably going to be without David Johnson, this definitely lends towards a Browns like dominating performance on the ground.
Yeah, if it was in Houston and like Duke Johnson could be in the like a flare screen play and Will Fuller down the end zone, but yeah, I think it's going to be a gross game. I think Nick Chubb runs all over him. I love Cleveland. Let's shift our focus. Let's do the college football minute. Interesting slate of games. I want to say thank you to Maryland for deciding to take the week off due to COVID. And my Titans were playing Thursday, so I can enjoy every minute of the Masters on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will obviously watch football all weekend long. I have 4 screens in my office. I can go up to 6. I get it done. But the slate isn't eye-popping, and I'm very happy about that. What are you looking at from a college point of view that you may be looking to back this week?
So, yeah, like you said, this is a pretty weak slate. And, it's kind of expected when you get those just all conference games and, you start to see the upper conference guys play against their crappy opponents in conference. But, I got 3 games that I'm looking at this week. So my first one is I like Marshall, team total over 38.5 points going up against Middle Tennessee State, who the Raiders are allowing 37 points per game. Marshall's scoring 37 points per game. And I do think that Marshall is looking to creep up into the conversation of those group of 5 teams that could potentially get a New Year's Day bowl. And the only way they do that is by racking up those points scored. And I do think we see them just absolutely light up the scoreboard this week. My second game is kind of a surprise, but I'm going to go with Arkansas getting 17 points at Florida. I know the Gators are coming off of a pretty decisive win at home against Georgia down in the world's largest cocktail party. But Arkansas is going in there with Felipe Franks, former Gators quarterback, possible revenge game here. Arkansas is going to be minus their head coach because of COVID, something to kind of rally the troops, see them come back here. This is more of like a hunch for me. Florida hasn't exactly been blowing the doors off of people in their victories, like averaging somewhere like 15 and 17 points in their games that they've won this year. In Arkansas, they're not very good, but I'm going with the Felipe Franks and the head coach kind of thing hunch here. And then my other game is I'm expecting a ton of points in Wake Forest and North Carolina, as both of these teams are averaging 34 or more points a game. The over-under right now is 66.5. North Carolina is averaging over 41 a game. So I do think that this game is going to reach that total somewhere in the third quarter, and we see this getting like almost closer to the 80s.
I like that call because I like North Carolina offense. I don't, and I worry about the spot. Mac Brown is great about beating his rivals. He knows how to do that. He sets up to do that, and he makes a point of doing it. Duke, North Carolina State, Wake Forest. Boom. They score a ton of points. I love the Arkansas call, and I, in fact, will probably be betting real dollars on that game because I think that's a perfect spot coming off of a huge win. I know I liked Georgia last week. That didn't go very well. Georgia's they're just not there. Like
they're just a name brand right now.
They're very much like the Mark Richt teams with Aaron Murray or Hudson Mason or any of those where they're solid. They're not great, but they're not terrible. They're definitely not a New Year's Six team. Trust them as far as I can throw them. I like West Virginia a lot. I think this is an interesting spot against TCU. I think they're a pretty solid team. Obviously, that game against Texas, kind of threw everybody off the scent just a little bit. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I really want to get down on. Let me hold on one sec while I pull up the totals. the Miami, Virginia Tech.
So that was another game that I was kind of eyeing because Miami is currently a 2.5 point dog on the road in Virginia Tech. But let's not forget that Blacksburg is traditionally one of the hardest venues to play at. But this is not a night game where they're going to be able to play Enter Sandman and the entire crowd is jumping up and down and the stadium is having an earthquake register. They're just limited to no fans in this game. And Miami is coming in as the ranked team.
Yeah, I mean, they're still not very good, but offensively, both these teams can put up a ton of points. We saw last week, Liberty and Virginia Tech, I went at 38, 35, something like that, ended up hitting the over, even though it didn't look like it in the fourth quarter. This game opened at 62.5. It's up to 65, 66.5. At 67.5, I have a hard time jumping in. But I think the over is the right here. I think 70 points get scored. So I'm taking Miami Vautech over. I'm taking Arkansas. What was Arkansas? Plus what?
17.
Plus 17. Let me see if there's anything else I want to get in on. Yeah, you took the UNC over, right? 66?
Yeah, 66.5, I believe it's set up right now.
Yep. I like that call quite a bit. What about your boys, Michigan?
I ain't touching them, man. Their pass defense it's non-existent.
I'm taking Boston College plus 13.
Oh, I love that play
against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is coming in off of beating Clemson, and they're going to be riding the highest of highs. Half the students that rush the field have COVID now, so that is a spot. I'm taking that. BC plus 13.
BC is also not the BC of your grandfather's past, where they're scoring actually 5 points a game. They're putting up some points this year.
Yeah, Adazio's got his boys in the right spot, and I might be patient with that one. I think you can get you might be able to get 2 touchdowns by kickoff. So
yep. Let everybody else ride the stupid Notre Dame hype.
Yep. I think they struggle in games like this. Okay. So before we're going to remember this time, we got to remember, Brian, our best bet for week 10 has to come out after we recap. But before we do that, what's on your card this week?
All right, so let's begin with the college lines. I'm gonna go here. Marshall team total over 38.5. I like the over in Wake Forest and North Carolina over 66.5, and I'm taking the Pigs, the Razorbacks plus 17 at Florida for my college ticket. And then in the NFL, I'm gonna go hard and heavy on Denver at Las Vegas over 50.5. I really like the Seahawks money line here at plus money in LA at plus 105, plus 110 right now. I love that. I'm going to take the Chargers money line at plus money right now. We'll just say it's even money right now. And I'm going to take the Browns minus 3.5 at home against the Houston Texans. And my last one, and this is going to be my best bet, the Green Bay Packers team total over 32.5, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are probably the worst team in the NFL right now and have been able to score points. And they should do that this week with Jair Alexander now hurting. So Jacksonville's going to be able to score, meaning that Green Bay is going to have to score. And the Green Bay Packers, in 5 of 6 of their wins, they've scored 34 or more points. So
I'll take the under.
31, give me the Packers 13. Best bet, 32.5 points. Over 32.5 points.
From the college perspective, West Virginia minus 3. The Hurricanes, Vautech over 67.5. I'm riding with you on Arkansas plus 17. BC plus 13. On the NFL side, I'm going with the Browns minus 3.5. I'm going Seattle plus 1.5. Taking New England plus 7. I'm taking the Niners plus 9.5. I'm taking the Bucs minus 6. And my best bet is those Arizona Cardinals minus 2.5. And I would love a 3-team money line parlay featuring the Arizona Cardinals, the Seattle Seahawks, and what was the other? I had it in my head before I started talking, and
the
then
Browns.
It came up. Probably the Browns. Let's throw the Browns in there. Sure, those three money line, make it happen.
All right. Okay, just for argument's sake, so that way we do this on here. I'm gonna go the other side of that Cardinals pick, and this will be our head-to-head this week. Mm-hmm. Give me the Bills money line on the road, and I'm gonna parlay Buffalo, Seattle, and LA Chargers, all underdogs on the road for these teams. The road dog, Jesse James, lives again. Okay, and I'm parlaying all three of those games, and I'll tweet out what the juice is on that parlay, with all three of those being getting even money or more. Yeah, so that I'm gonna do that.
Okay, so official. My best bet is Arizona -2.5. What is your best bet?
Green Bay team total over 32.5 points.
Okay. If you've made it this long, we appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Check out all of our other fantasy content. I have 2 golf bets for you this weekend. Round 1 is obviously in the books pretty much. So I'm going to give you 2 golfers that I'm going to be targeting. Bryson DeChambeau was my favorite coming in. He was 7.5 to win. He is now 14 most places. If you can get 14 or better, I would definitely look at that. And I think if you can get Bubba Watson at 30 something or above, like 33, 35 or better, I think I would take a gamble on that as well. A lot of the other numbers are moving and they're inside 20, and like Matthew Wolf was a guy I like coming in. His numbers move too much. But I think both those guys offer a ton of upside at their current number. Even I think John Rahm, honestly, at 14 or better, could make a ton of sense as well. Round 1 is in the books, not round 4. There's still 3 whole days. And, I expect Bryson to take this golf course apart. Obviously, Bubba's looking for his 3rd Masters, 3rd green jacket. And I don't even hate Brooks Koepka, honestly. If you get a decent number, he's playing like garbage on round 1. But had a really nice Saturday, Sunday at the Houston Open. I think it should be in a good spot. So if those are some names that if you want to get involved and have a reason to watch my favorite golf tournament all year long, even though it's supposed to be in April, not November, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. ESPN Plus gets you all the screens. So get into that. You can probably get a free preview if you have never done that. With all that being said, make sure you check out fakepigskin.com throughout the weekend for Brian's article. His stardom, his situm will be live Sunday morning, helping you get set for your week 10 lineups. The season's flying by, whether we're ready for it or not. We appreciate everybody who's been hopping in, who's been bringing us questions, who's been joining the conversation. We love talking with everybody. We'll talk betting, we'll talk fantasy, we'll talk all that stuff. Help get you set to win, to make the playoffs, and to win your fantasy championship. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys next time.